Welcome, people of the World Wide Web, and it's another movie review as I've been pumping out 2 weeks. So here we go. So this is for Champions. So this one wasn't necessarily on my radar. I saw a trailer for it on another movie that I want to watch. I think it was like a month or so ago, and it seemed quite interesting. So I was quite looking forward from that trailer to go see it. Obviously, I said it wasn't really on my radar. So anybody who doesn't know, Woody Harrelson plays the main character. So Marcus, he is a assistant coach for a basketball team, and obviously gets into a row with Phil, the main coach, which is played by Ernie Hudson, and then they basically sack him. They sack him on the basis he has a confrontation. He goes drink driving, and then crashes in a quite spectacular way. I won't give any spoilers away this earlier on in the video. Then obviously the judge decides to basically, he has a choice. He could do community service, 90 days community service, or he can basically go to jail for 18 months. So obviously he takes community service, and basically he then is tasked with managing a team called the Friends, which is comprised of people who have a range of, as far as I can tell, conditions like Down syndrome and other conditions like that. And then obviously it is how kind of Woody Harrelson's character kind of gets on with all the other different personalities that are in there and stuff. And it is, straight off the bat, it was actually a really good film. It was funny in places, but not completely far out there that you're laughing all the time. It has a very good message near the end of it, and it does actually bring up a lot of people's interpretations of people who have Down syndrome or have certain, I think they're classed as disabilities. But I think it's handled, I say, it's a bit of a realistic view, but it's handled quite tastefully, and it has a very good message overall. And I really, really liked that. I say, 1 minute you can laugh at let's say the actors and actresses who play the characters. I believe they all do have either Down syndrome or the disability that they're shown, and it's really good. They work really well. Like their on-camera presence is really shown, and just how Woody Harrelson reacts to him. I mean, Woody Harrelson is a bit of an arsehole, his character is, and it's quite nice to see him kind of open up a little bit, and I think that's where it was. Obviously you have Cheech Moran, he's also in there, he kind of helps out the team. And then you have Caitlin Olsen, who plays one of the lads, Benny, his sister. So Alex, so she is quite prominent, and how she's introduced into this, it is quite good. But yeah, obviously they go through they basically go through training, they start to obviously get better, and then they go to like a regional championship, it ends up, and then they have the championship game at the end. I'm not giving away any spoilers or anything. I say there are some twists and turns in this that you don't expect where it's going to go, and it does. Vice versa, there are some that you do think you know where it goes, and it does go, but it works really well for what it is. I say really good acting across the board. You know, I can't pick fault with any of the characters, how they acting, and it does, I think, show maybe or shines a light on, say, the whole people's interpretation stuff, and yeah. And okay, I'll put the spoiler up now so I can talk about a few bits, so I'm not ruining it. So obviously Woody Harrelson, his character is obviously develops. He's not a very nice person, and being with these other players and this team kind of bring him out of his shell. He obviously kind of forms a bit of a bond with Alex as well, which is Benny's sister, and their dynamic is really good. It's kind of to and froing, but this is for me, it kind of had a full message of, you know, like you can meet somebody, you can interact with them, and then it's over time where you develop the feelings that go towards how you interpret that person, and you understand that person a bit more. And I think that's how Woody Harrelson's character comes. He is a bit of an arsehole. He doesn't know the players on his other teams. You know, he's known for having his, but understanding you know, all of these different characters and actually their lives and what they actually go through and stuff, and that they still want to play, you know, still want to be on this team and still enjoy it, even though they may not be the best players out there. It does work really well, and it's, you know, it opens up Woody Harrelson's character to, you know, to understand that. I think that then brings him out of himself, because he sees, you know, he's like, he thinks he's got a hard life because he basically wants a job in the NBA, which he is offered near the end of the film. But then you realise, you know, but then he grows to develop relationship with his characters, and I think that further evolves it. And say, it works really well. Like, on the premise of the trailer, it thinks it's a comedy, but it's like a very heartfelt, touchy story in between there. One thing I would say, if you are watching a film, do not get up when the trailers start. Just sit back, relax, and just let the trailers play out. You will be very pleasantly surprised. There is a little bit at the end, which is quite a nice little, it pays homage to something earlier in the film. And I mean, even when you see there's a person playing the keyboard, that's Woody Harrelson. But it is done really, really well. You know, there's little bits like that, and I found that throughout the story, you know, there were laugh out loud moments, but they weren't like you were laughing your absolute head off. It was like really, really funny, but then it didn't take away from the story and the seriousness, I think, or a little bit of seriousness that he wanted to have in there and its stuff. And yeah, so you know, I would rate this, it's common review for this week, but 7.5 out of 10. It's, you know, I say it was really good acting across the board. You know, the story, all the elements of how they mixed it in. I say, I'm not trying to give much away, because you need to learn it. Like all the individual characters, they have a story and a background and their lives, and there's aspects that come into it that some Woody Harrelson helped with, some not. There's an interesting bus ride earlier on that does. There's something quite surprising that happens at the end of that, but it's just, you know, and as I say, it kind of, the whole story of it being a little bit of a comedy, but then a story of like how all the characters merge together and develop and stuff, and then it all leads, I think, to there's a final. I say Woody Harrelson's in the locker room and he has a kind of pep talk, but it isn't just a pep talk. It is kind of a realization for these characters, and to be honest, it kind of opened even my eyes a bit to have that in, you know, to if I was ever to be in a situation with someone who may have a disability, to what they, you know, opened my eyes a little bit to what they actually go through. And that I think in this world we do take a lot for granted, but it is again nice that there is a film that actually shows people with disability, but in a positive light. You know, then, you know, I know it's a comedy and they're not just there as a laughing stock, they are there as solid characters with, you know, backgrounds and stuff like that, and shown in a very human and caring and understanding light. And they go through the exact same things that we go through. They just unfortunately have a condition which is out of their control, and people have kind of not put pressure, but kind of made up their own views on them and stuff, and that's it. And it just works really well. I say it's not necessarily, I left the film not exactly expecting to feel what I did feel. But again, I say the laughs were brilliant there and stuff, and it just all worked well. I mean, I must admit, I wouldn't necessarily put Woody Harrelson in the comedy genre, but he would work really well, and obviously his relationship with the sister and how that works, and even the characters of his family and stuff. You know, it all blended in together and was a quite realistic, I think, you know, of what happens and stuff in life and stuff, and just shows you that obviously, you know, you can be rewarded even though it's community service for him. You know, he does do it a little bit longer than his community service, so you know, it actually did good for him. And obviously, don't drink and drive. So anyway, this has been my review of The Champions, or Champions I should say. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'm Cypher Sigma, and I'll see you in the next one.